contact after the checkered flag at Chicago leads to a big fine for Bubba Wallace. Let's try to make sense of this decision. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Hope you're doing well. This morning, NASCAR's post-Chicago street race penalty report was released, and right on top, Bubba Wallace fined $50,000 for post-race contact with Alex Bowman. Go back to Sunday evening after the race. On the cool-down lap, the 23 car wedges the 48 into the outside wall. This was retaliation for an incident that occurred much earlier in the race. Racing inside the top 10, Alex Bowman misses the corner and spins Bubba Wallace out. Both drivers entered that race on the playoff bubble. Bowman 16th, Bubba 17th. Bubba was not happy with Bowman, and I'm sure it only made him feel worse that Bowman went on to win the race. Bubba Wallace finished 13th. As a result, post-race, Bubba gets into Alex Bowman. You can see the replay once again right there. NASCAR decided to penalize Bubba Wallace $50,000. No points penalty, but a fairly steep fine in my opinion for post-race contact. NASCAR typically lets these things go. They don't like it when you spin someone out under caution and potentially impact that race. We saw William Byron get fined and a points penalty for spinning Denny Hamlin out 2 years ago, and just last week Carson Hocevar faced a fine and points penalty for spinning Harrison Burton, but those happened under caution. Potential safety vehicles on the track, again, could impact the race. Bubba Bowman was post-race. We've seen drivers get fined for hitting other cars on pit road post-race, like Daniel Suarez at COTA last year was fined $50,000 for ironically running into Bowman with officials and crew guys standing around. That made sense. We also saw, go back a decade, Brad Keselowski was fined for running into Matt Kenseth and Tony Stewart on pit road. But Bubba didn't hit Bowman on pit road. This was out on the racetrack, nowhere near pit road, nobody standing around. We've seen NASCAR let an awful lot of cool-down lap contact go without penalty. Within this same race, Chase Elliott was caught on camera brake-checking Daniel Suarez, swerving at him. Earlier this year at Richmond, Martin Truex Jr. rubbed doors with Kyle Larson and then went and bumped his teammate Denny Hamlin several times after the checkered flag. Go back to 2018, Truex kamikaze Jimmy Johnson on the cool-down lap, no penalty. Denny Hamlin disrupted Alex Bowman's victory celebration at Martinsville in 2021, and similarly, no penalty. So, as you can tell, I'm trying to make sense of this. Why was Bubba Wallace fined $50,000? Is it because he put Bowman in the wall? Chase Elliott put Denny Hamlin in the wall at Martinsville a few years back. Obviously, it wasn't big contact or anything, but that did happen. So was it just a mix of the contact between Bubba and Bowman being a little rough? Were they factoring in Bubba's history at all? I mean, Chase Elliott's been suspended in the last year, no penalty for him. I'm just trying to make sense of it, and to me, the most logical reason as to why Bubba was hit with a $50,000 fine for that was because the retaliation occurred several hours after the original incident. That's the only explanation that makes some sense to me. I hope Elton Sawyer or some NASCAR official comes out and can confirm that's the reason, because any other reason for a penalty makes absolutely zero sense. The only way a $50,000 fine makes sense when they've let so many other incidents go is if NASCAR didn't like that it was seemingly premeditated. NASCAR's made it clear they don't like premeditated acts of violence. They fined Ricky Stenhouse Jr. $75,000 at North Wilkesboro for waiting a couple hours to punch Kyle Busch. At the end of the day, it's $50,000. That's a steep penalty, but it's not going to make or break Bubba Wallace. I'm just concerned that this kind of penalty is going to deter future drivers from showing emotion. Maybe we need to bring back probation. Maybe I'm too young to remember that era. Maybe that was a disaster, probably was. But we need a warning system like in baseball. When a team hits a player and then the other team hits another player, then the umpires come out and issue warnings to both teams. That's what I feel like we need here. $50,000 for that when they've let so much go does seem steep. I feel like I agree with Dale Earnhardt Jr. when he said on his podcast that a $10,000, $15,000 fine, that I could have seen that. That would have served as a warning. But to go right to $50,000, again, I worry this is going to deter drivers from showing emotion. NASCAR wants drivers to show emotion. They want their drivers to self-police. But with some of these recent calls, I think they're making it harder and harder to do those things. They've drawn so many different lines in the sands, like, hey, if you want to spin someone out, that's okay with us, as long as you don't make it too obvious and then don't admit afterwards that you did it on purpose. Except sometimes you can admit that it was on purpose and we'll just look the other way. If you want to hit somebody under caution, that's also okay with us. You can rub doors, just don't spin them out. If you spin somebody out, we'll get you. If you want to hit someone on the cool down lap, that's also okay with us. Just don't do it on pit road, and I guess don't wedge someone into the wall, or if you do, make sure the incident you're mad about happened less than an hour ago. Oh, and lastly, if you want to fight someone after the race, that's also okay with us, as long as it's not premeditated, as long as you both just got out of the cars and it's heat of the moment. If you got wrecked earlier in the race, you better not wait around to start something or we'll fine you $75,000. Like, you see where I'm getting at? I'm drawing all these different lines in the sand. It's confusing. In the moment, drivers are angry. We want them to show raw emotion, obviously within reason. We don't want anything super dangerous or reckless. But now you got all these different things you're thinking about as a driver, and I don't know. That's my only issue with this $50,000 fine. A lighter penalty, maybe some sort of probation or warning system. I feel that's what we need. I'll be really curious to hear NASCAR's explanation. If they just say, hey, we don't like someone retaliating for an incident that happened 3 hours earlier, okay. We don't like how hard he put Bowman in the wall. I mean, it's a street course, but they're going like 20 miles an hour. I'm not saying Bubba Wallace should have run Bowman into the wall. There are better ways to settle differences. He should have answered Alex Bowman's calls during the rain delay, during the red flag. Hash things out then. Absolutely. Running into him after the race does nothing to impact Bowman's race, and it can only damage your own car. Like, that is dumb. I'm just not sure it's worthy of a $50,000 penalty when, again, I've pointed out many examples in this video of NASCAR letting other borderline incidents go. NASCAR's turned a blind eye to so many other shenanigans. They dropped the hammer on this one is a little surprising to me, personally. At the end of the day, it has no real impact on the playoffs. Bubba Wallace, still 17th on the playoff grid, likely needs to win one of these next few races to get into the postseason. Let me know your reaction to this altercation, the penalty. Do you think it was the right call? Are you buying NASCAR's possible explanation? I hope we were able to kind of make sense of things in this video. I hate setting all these new precedents because it just gets so confusing. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more NASCAR content and commentary every single day, and a huge thank you to my very generous Patreon supporters. Front Row has an announcement later today, so you'll hear from me again soon. Just wanted to touch on this topic while it was still fresh. Thanks for watching, y'all. I'll see you again in a little bit.